Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Gamefound, and this is the News and Week in Review, where we're going to go over a variety of news pieces, the games I've covered this week, the videos I've covered, some of the games I've played, all of that and more. Links and timestamps to everything down below. Although I'm going to start by saying it is currently 60 degrees in my house. It is 60 degrees in my house because it's been 2 days now of like 1 degree weather. It's -1 degrees outside. Genuine question for those who have dealt with this. What has been the most efficient way you've managed to fix your house not being able to keep up with subpar weather conditions? Because there's a lot of options out there, from massively insulating your house to completely replacing your AC with a different unit. There's options out there, but I'm currently looking into what the best option might be. And yes, I do have some of those window covers where you seal the window thing. I do have a few, not the whole house, but like the bigger windows I've done that with. Let me know, because whenever I find for my house over here, much as I like this house, whenever the weather drops to like under 10 degrees, my house starts falling along with it. And then once it gets back to above 10 degrees, my house is like, okay, we can keep up now. So if you've dealt with this issue, let me know, because I can deal with the 60 degrees. It's not my favorite. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into this. This is the News and Week in Review. We do have a few news pieces to go over. We are back at it with the Harry Potter thing once again over on Board Game Wire. You can read an article breaking this down, but Upper Deck announced that they are doing a partnership with Harry Potter, the licenses, to put out various things. After much hullabaloo over on Blue Sky, over on Board Game Geek and all that, they did release a one-sentence statement saying we have no plans of making board games at this time, which, two things. First of all, that's a like at this time kind of conversation. And secondly is, for some people that's not enough. They want their entire partnership done. I am not heavily going to go into this topic because it has been gone into very, very heavily in the past with CGE when the whole thing went down that time. I don't have the energy to do this topic right now, but it is news. It is, meaning I don't have the energy to go into my opinions on the whole thing. I've talked about this in the past. My biggest thing with all of this is I hate myself. I can't not talk about something. My biggest thing with all of this is to try to be kind in the way we communicate with each other, both in the way we express our disappointment for what we think people shouldn't have done, and both in the way we understand, even if we disagree with that viewpoint, both in the way that we understand where that viewpoint might be coming from, and regardless of agreement or not, treating people as human beings on all sides of the conversation. That's generally my biggest goal with these things. I think we dehumanize each other so quickly. We treat people as evil entities who have no regards for, like if you don't do it my way, you hate me and you want me to die, is one stance, which I don't generally agree with. And the other stance is you're trying to destroy and stifle everything, and you're trying to ruin fun and take politics out of board games, which I also don't agree with. I think there's a lot of extremes, and I think life is complicated and nuanced, and a good starting point is if we try to understand where people are coming from, and at the very least, even if we can't, treating them like actual real human beings would be great. No matter what I do, I think even that, which I feel is like so reasonable, is going to turn into a conversation. Just treat people kindly. Anyways, that is Harry Potter and Upper Deck and all that. You can read more about it Board Game Wire. They go more into it, but I don't imagine this is going to be the same size of the controversy around CGE. One thing that definitely is true is the smaller you are and the more likely a boycott or noise can affect change, unfortunately, the more noise will be made. The less likely a corporation is to listen to you, unfortunately, the less likely there is noise to be made. That is not... yeah. It'll be less noise this time around, I assume. We'll find out. Over on Print and Play Arcade, PNP Arcade is... You know my problem? I'm going to go back to this. I think my problem, and part of the reason I offered like conversations last time, is it's hard to talk about these things in video the way I'd like, because a single misstep in the sentence that I say could possibly give the wrong impression, or something could be taken the wrong way, and a one-way conversation around such a nuanced topic I find very ineffective. Versus in-person conversations, I can find that we can actually achieve a much greater degree of common ground and understanding, and being able to convey where we're coming from. Just a video conversation is just not a great format. It's one way. It's one way for something this heated of a topic. I think that's why I struggle so much with it, because I don't like to move past things without talking about them, but I also like to do conversations justice and not do a disservice to the conversation, especially one as important as this one. Anyways, moving on to Print and Play Arcade over here. Print and Play Arcade, PNP Arcade, is closing its web store on January 29th. There is a sentence here that sounds like maybe it will continue in some form, maybe a change of ownership or something, I don't know. But they talk about how they want it to continue even if it takes a new shape. That's like maybe something will happen. But this kind of was loosely announced to various designers and publishers earlier this week, and then they updated this to the public a few days later. But PNP Arcade is shutting down effective January 29th, and there are a lot of people who are very sad about this. I never use it. That doesn't mean it's not a useful thing. It just means I live in this weird space where, not weird space, I don't use print and play arcade things either as a consumer or as a designer or publisher. So for me, when I first heard about this, I was like, oh, that's sad. And then as I saw the comments flood in, I was like, wow, there are a lot of people who don't feel there's like a strong alternative, which is fascinating because I just don't know this space as well. And so to me, it's interesting. There's a difference between like a game store closing down and the game store closing down. And when I saw this, at first I took it kind of more as the former, more of like, oh, a print and play site is shutting down. There's so many others out there. It's all fine. But it seems like a lot of people are going to miss what Print and Play Arcade did, so kudos to them for building up an audience and a service that is going to be heavily missed, and I hope this does get picked up in some form by others. And then over on Board Game Wire again, we have an article on Asmodee and Lord of the Rings. This is a fascinating article. It's actually worth a read in my opinion, but effectively it goes into how Asmodee kind of has the control of the Lord of the Rings IP in the tabletop space right now, and that does mean that other publishers can come to them, try to kind of work with them, but everything goes through Asmodee's approval process. This is an interesting article kind of talking about that, as well as the possible incentive of, like, not incentive, as well as the possible concern from the public of, well, okay, that means Asmodee just gets to say no because we want to make all the games. And they talk about how, no, that's not their goal. They want to work with other publishers. Yes, other publishers are going to sit there and say, well, you're not going to approve my game because you're going to want to do something yourself, and that is a real concern that they have to manage, and effectively build up trust within the community through action. They very much recognize that, like, you're not going to trust that Asmodee is going to share, so to speak, unless they actually do so. So keep your eyes peeled, because it sounds like they actually are doing so. The extent as to whether you're happy with that or not, that's a different conversation. It is always concerning when a larger company kind of has control over something creative like this. As a consumer, I'll say they definitely have done a good job putting out pretty good Lord of the Rings games. The trick-taking game, the Pandemic game, and the Seven Wonders Duel game, all of those are very solid Lord of the Rings games, so at least they're doing the IP justice, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that it's not fun to not have it shared, and now the next question is, will it be shared, and to what extent? That's what I have as far as news for you, which means we now go to the videos of the week. The videos I've done this past week, we have several. On Sunday, I did a Support the Dice Tower video. This is exactly what it sounds like. It was a video talking about why I believe the Dice Tower is so unique and important to this hobby. Whether or not you personally enjoy their content, I think they're a very valuable asset to the hobby in the way that they are the only entity that does what they do. Not just covers games, but covers nearly everything that comes out. Nearly anything that's even worth considering covering is almost certainly covered. Covering it with a diversity of opinions, with more live content than any other channel. I think most other channels, myself included, could shut down and go away, and you might lose that personal audience you've built, but it wouldn't be something unique in the industry the way the Dice Tower is. So I did a video because I think they're pretty cool and worth supporting. Then later that day, I did a video, because in the same vein, I did a video of how much money do I make from YouTube, going into the numbers of YouTube so that you know, both as a audience member, because I personally find those things interesting, so I like knowing, and secondly, as a content creator, especially if you're a content creator trying to go full-time or considering content, like, make no mistake, I love it here, I love what I do, I wouldn't change it for the world, and I do not want to scare people away from that sense. I want you to know that this is deciding to make a video, holding up the camera one day and being like, hello world, and walking around my basement, a different basement, but walking around my basement, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Not the best, but one of my best decisions I've ever made in my life. I am very, very grateful for what it has brought me here, as well as other opportunities. I wouldn't have the job at Gamefound that I have if not for this, and I really enjoy my job at Gamefound. I get to talk to people about things that I'm passionate about in a space that I'm passionate about. Like, it's a cool job. So is YouTube. YouTube's also a cool job. So I'm very, very grateful for YouTube and the opportunities that it has brought me, both itself and everything else. At the same time, it's not a moneymaker. I'm not saying there's no money there. There is money there, but it's certainly not a moneymaker in a classical sense. It's a good video to watch. I think it's interesting. That is how much money I make. I did it like 3 years ago. I'll probably do it again in a few years. It's always an interesting, updated conversation. Anyways, from there, on Monday. Monday, we had 5 games that deserve smaller box versions, going over games like Cthulhu Death May Die, Primal, and others, talking about the more accessible version that I'd like to see so that people can buy into these at an easier price point and possibly jump in and see and find out if they like those games. Especially games like Primal that have a $200 like entry point to play, and it's such a good game. It'd be so nice if there were versions of the game that could onboard people and at the very least show them that they are worth getting. Later this week, on Wednesday, I did a 2025 year in review video. This is going over 2025 and covering how things went. How did I do on my New Year's resolutions? Or how many games did I play? Just general stats and things around the year. I like doing those kinds of things. I like topical videos so much more than anything else I do, and this is like topical adjacent. Then on Friday, I did reviewing the Gamefound Feast. Gamefound put out its Winter Feast this past week, Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday. And I in general, I do a review. I host the Gamefound Feast, but also after the fact, more as like a informal sense where I can talk more transparently about things. As opposed, like when I'm hosting the feast, I'm like, here's a game and a project for you to be excited about. I'm in like Gamefound presenter mode. And then after the fact, I like being like, hey, this doesn't excite me. That does excite me. Here's why this excites me. Here's what I think about this. Here's what I hope they do there. So I did a commentary on ranking my Gamefound Feast titles in order of the ones from least to most as far as how much I'm excited about them personally. There are a bunch that I am excited about personally. Then from there, we have the games covered this past week. There are a lot of games covered this week. There usually are. Not every week, but usually. On Saturday, we had a preview for Sudden Conflict. This is a sponsored preview. I didn't play it, so I don't have notes on it myself. Then there's a Bomb Busters review that went up. I really enjoy Bomb Busters. It is a game that I'm going to play to a certain point and then get rid of, probably. I say probably because sometimes games like that, like games like The Mind, I actually hold on to. But more often than not, those are kind of one and done, except it's not one and done. It's like 40 and done. I don't think I'm going to play through every single mission configuration they have. I'm going to play through a whole bunch of those missions and then eventually get rid of it when I find that the charm of it has worn off. But for right now, I definitely like it. Then there was a an unboxing for Grimcoven that went up on Tuesday. I was not going to keep Grimcoven. I am trying to get rid of more and more games because big box experiences are harder to table. They are often fun, but they are harder to table. And so I'm making harder decisions about what stays and what goes, and it's tough. It is tough trying to keep a collection to a reasonable size where you can actually play most of what you own. But I saw enough hype and buzz about Grimcoven that I decided to keep it at least for right now and see how it goes. And it's, yeah, there were enough comments, especially on the video as well, of people who really enjoy it that I'm cautiously optimistic about my decision to hold on to it for now. I say cautiously optimistic because I still have to play it, and that right now, at this moment, and not even counting sponsored content, I have like 10 reviews for upcoming crowdfunding campaigns that I have to play these games in the next month and a half. 10 games. That means that 10, don't get me wrong, I learn a new game a day, but 10 of those new games over the next month and a half are just review copies of games that have a date attached to them, which makes diving into things like Grimcoven a little harder. It's always a challenge. Again, I love what I do. There's pros and cons to it. Either way, that was a Tuesday unboxing. Then there was a preview for The Lodge going up on Tuesday as well. The Lodge is actually surprisingly fun. And again, sponsored content, take this with a grain of salt, but this is the video where I talk about things, even sponsored content, like the Week in Review. If you didn't know this, in the Week in Review is where I'll give my thoughts on any sponsored games I've covered that week. But The Lodge, I thought it was kind of charming. I don't know if it's a must-have for me, not in its current form, but I enjoyed the tile drafting of it. In terms of the managing to find the guests and putting them into their respective areas, I thought it was pretty well done. It's from the designer of Tiny Towns. It felt like in a similar Peter McPherson, I want to say, something McPherson. It felt like in a similar weight class. The art style, it didn't get pulled in by the art of the box, but the tiles themselves are kind of works for the tiles. Overall, I thought it was a pretty fun tile drafting, point optimization game with a lot of choices as far as how you build things out and where you place the various amenities to try to optimize the scoring. Thought it was pretty decent. That was The Lodge. Then we have Time to Panic. That was a preview for The Lodge. Gameplay is actually going up, I want to say, today. I want to say the gameplay is going up today. Then there was a Time to Panic review. I really enjoyed Time to Panic from Ivy Studios. I thought it was fine. It is one of those games that I do think is going into the one and done, except again, it's not one and done. I think it has a limit to how many plays I'm going to enjoy from it before I move on from it, just because I think The Mind really fills that spot for me the most. There are some interesting things happening in Time to Panic, though. Overall, it's a solid game. I enjoyed it. Then there was a review for Dead Cells. Dead Cells, this was on Thursday. I did not like Dead Cells, which is not entirely true. I like parts of Dead Cells. Dead Cells had a lot of things that I enjoyed about the game, but the problem is the main thing I enjoyed was unlocking new stuff. This is the board game based on the video game. I love the video game. The video game is great, although my favorite part is probably unlocking new stuff too, but I like the combat in there. I enjoy the process. And that was the problem with Dead Cells, the board game. I didn't enjoy the combat. So probably about like 70% of the game, I didn't enjoy, because combat is the most time you spend doing things. I thought the combat system was kind of frustrating, felt very luck-based, and I often felt like my hands were tied. I did not enjoy that process. I did not feel cool. I did not feel clever. I just felt like I had to kind of grind my way through the combat stuff. And maybe that gets better on play 15, I don't know. Like, I probably played it around 10 to 12 times. Like, sessions are pretty quick, so it's pretty easy to dive into it. I had one boss encounter, I think, maybe two boss encounters. But yeah, either way, I played enough of it that I got to experience aspects of it, but at a certain point I realized I was only grinding to get the next unlock, and I wasn't actually enjoying the process of playing, and that is a deal breaker for me. So overall, Dead Cells is a no for me. Then I had a review for Captain Flip going up. Captain Flip is charming. It's a charming, simple, accessible game. They announced an expansion for it. I think it's a good game. It's not like the best game ever for me. It is a fun... I understand why it won the Spiel des Jahres. It has that accessibility, it has that charm, it is quick to play, it's easy to play, it makes quick, simple decisions, but again, it's one of those games that after you played it a few times, you've seen most of what the game has to offer, and the charm wears off. The expansion could add longevity, but I just don't think the bones of the game support anything more than being a very, very good gateway game. Those are the games we covered this past week, which brings us to games played. I do this section again where I talk about some of the games played. Not all, but some of the games played. I played Aquaria from Capstone Games from Thomas Hollock. I've been playing a lot of Thomas Hollock games recently. Some I've enjoyed more than others. Aquaria, I need more plays. A review will go up. I need more plays for Aquaria, but I think that as much as I appreciate what Aquaria is doing, I think that I felt a little too stifled by it at first, and I didn't feel as clever with the way things go together. So I need more plays. Review will go up at some point, but Aquaria is one that I think is a good game, but not a falling in love with game. There's Junk Drawer. Junk Drawer is an older title that I've been playing a little bit recently, and I'm starting to realize that Junk Drawer, I think I've played it out at this point. Like, I think Junk Drawer is excellent. I believe I gave it a 4.5 when I first covered it. I think by now it's probably shrunk to a 3.5 for me, which is a shame, but I still appreciate what it's doing. I still think it's very, very good. I think they could drastically, my opinion could drastically change if they did put out like a Junk Drawer with like a 6x6 tile instead of a 5x5. I think that would really open up the possibilities of how you can build and do things. As it stands, I still think Junk Drawer is very fine, but again, when a game is lighter, one of the challenges I've had with lighter games is they don't hold on to that longevity as long. Whereas a strategic game can be just as fun 17 plays in as the first 3 or 4 plays. I do find lighter games, the first 3 or 4 plays might be significantly more charming, and over time it goes down. Now, don't get me wrong, Junk Drawer is one that I've played enough that I probably have played Junk Drawer like 17, 18 times. It's a random number. I played it more than 10, less than 30, but Junk Drawer has definitely gotten a lot of plays in. I think it's very fun, and I'm still happy to play it, but this one kind of reminded me that games do adjust with where they are for me over time. And then lastly, I played Dominion. Speaking of games that adjust for you over time, Dominion holds up. I've played Dominion so many times. I've been playing a lot of Dominion this past week. My daughter, she was just traveling, and she played it with a friend, and she had never played Dominion with me. I played Dominion a ton. She had never played my copy of Dominion, and she comes home, she's like, do you know, like, she knows I have Dominion. She's like, Dominion is so much fun. And so we proceeded to play Dominion like 15 times. We've played it like 5 times in the past few days. It's a lot of fun. I like Dominion a lot. It is such a good game. The amount of expansion content really mixes up the experience. The general puzzle of trying to optimize your way. Dominion, for me, holds up every single time I play it. Granted, the card pool is one of the things that just makes it so... It's nearly infinitely combinable with the amount of cards I have, and it's a lot of fun. I like Dominion. Anyways, those are the games I played, which brings us to today. Today we are going to have a playthrough for Sheol going up, as well as a playthrough for The Lodge. It's actually called Lodge, not The Lodge. I always want to say The Lodge. We have a playthrough for Lodge and Sheol, both going up today. You can check those out if you're interested in either of those campaigns. Sheol's campaign is active. Lodge's campaign is going up on Tuesday. And then next week we're going to have a, what do we have? Next week, we're going to have a Core of Discovery Solo Sunday, hopefully going up. So if you are interested in Core of Discovery, I'll be playing through that on Sunday. You can see how I do. I hopefully will have my top 10 disappointments of 2025 going up this week. I say hopefully because the video's been filmed. It has not been edited yet. I need to go do that and throw a few images in there, but hopefully that will go up. And then there'll be some other things. There's just 2 other things going up this next week, which brings us to the games on the shelf. As usual, these are the games I hope to be playing this week. Let's talk what we got. Oh, and I forgot to do this. Oh my gosh, I hate when I forget to do this. Also, a reminder to Allplay is a channel sponsor. Allplay is a channel sponsor. They currently sponsor the channel. These shelves behind you see are from Allplay, but also they have an active crowdfunding campaign for the Mountain Goats Legacy, as well as Enchanted Ivy. You can go ahead and check that out down below, as well as checking out allplay.com for any of the other things that they do. But with that said, as far as the games that I hope to be playing this week, we have Logic and Lore Variants. A crowdfunding campaign for this is going up shortly at some point. I don't know exactly when, and I love Logic logic and lore, and I'm looking forward to playing through this. We have Ancient Empires over here. That's another crowdfunding campaign I'll be covering, as well as Dice Quest. These are 3 of the various 10 or so upcoming crowdfunding campaigns in the next month and a half. Dice Quest is going to be launching very shortly. This just arrived. I haven't even played this. I hate, by the way, fun fact, I hate when that happens, because that means I'll be playing Dice Quest with only a few days between when I first play it and when the campaign goes up. So I do hope to get I will be getting multiple plays in, because I always do if I'm going to call it a review, unless I play it once and call it a first impressions, but you'll know by the title. The problem is, I don't like it when the multiple plays are forced to be quick and back-to-back because of timelines, because it doesn't give the game time to breathe in my head. I don't love that about... I like games being able to settle before I review it. I don't like reviewing a game the day after I played it for the first time, or the 2 days, 3 days after the first time, because I just find this a different experience. And when I think more often than not, I am more excited about a game right after I played it, and then as time goes on, I'm like, but do I actually care about playing it again? So I often need that week or two to breathe, and sometimes I don't have that. This game just arrived, so I will be diving into it, and then hoping to balance out any excitement. If I have no clue if I'll be excited, I might hate it. Who knows? Anyways, some behind-the-scenes talk about timelines. Dice Quest. This will be launching for Skytier Games on Tuesday, I believe, and I will be playing it today. And then we have Paranormal Detectives over here. Paranormal Detectives as well. This one from Lucky Duck. Very Mysterium vibes. I've never actually played it, and I would love to get it played this week, because I always have older games that I want to get to that I haven't yet, and this is on that list. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have an excellent week, and as always, I hope you have a good one.